Okay, so it feels silly. So yeah, so I started. My dad got into acting quite late, in his sort of mid to late 30s, I think, and just thought it was a good. No, I'm going to tell you the full story. It's long. It might be a little bit boring, but I'm going to say it anyway. So my dad, he knew a casting director, and he was around that casting director's house visiting because they were friends, a cup of tea, and the casting director was having a nightmare because some 3 children had pulled out of a Fruit of the Loom commercial that was filming the following week. So my dad was there, and he was like, "Well, I've got 3 kids you could use." That was my first acting job, you know. So I was 7 years old. That was my first acting job, and then off the back of that, got an agent. And then I did a bunch of TV commercials. I did a McDonald's commercial. There was a huge, big shop in the UK called Woolworths. Did you have it here also?
Don't think
Woolworths? So. Well, yeah, I did a commercial for there. I did one for a German bank, a couple of others, and that's all I really did until I was about 12 when I got the audition for Dudley on Harry Potter. So yeah, I had about 4 or 5 auditions for Dudley. It didn't work out. I got down to the last 2 actors, didn't work out for me. And then they said no. I was heartbroken. And then about 3 or 4 weeks later, they called my agent back and said, "We did really like him, he just wasn't right for that part. Will he come and audition for Goyle?" So my mum and dad were a bit like, "You've seen him for, they're trying to safeguard me, you know, from disappointment. I had already been heartbroken from not getting the part. So they said, you've seen him 4 or 5 times. This, if you can't make your mind up from what you've seen of him already, then." But anyway, they convinced my mum that it was a sure thing. Like, basically, they're just going through the motions of getting these other children in, and and it was basically, you got the part, but just come. So we turned up there, but me and my mum weren't expecting. There was about 20 other actors there auditioning for Goyle, like potential Goyles, and my mum was like, that's not how you made out. Like, you didn't really make out like he was coming for an audition. Anyway, so then how that system worked? Tom Felton had already been cast as Malfoy, and Jamie had already been cast as Crabbe. So they were waiting in the room with Chris Columbus and David Heyman, the Warner Brothers execs and stuff. And it was just one actor in, stand next to Malfoy and Crabbe, then one out. It's like a carousel, like one in, one out, one in, one out. And Chris Columbus is there. He's doing all this stuff, and they can't make their mind up. They're trying to, they can't choose, and that was it. And I ended up getting the role, and yeah, like the rest was history. But to add to that story, it was only last year I did a Comic-Con in Germany with Tom. First time I'd seen him in a few years, and we went out for a beer, and we was at the bar, and he said, you know, it was me. I cast you, basically. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'd never heard this. He was like, me and Jamie, you know, we already had our parts. So when all you guys, when nobody was in the room, I said we was part of the discussion, you know, and stuff. And the Chris Columbus and the producers, they couldn't make their mind up which one to choose. So they asked us. They said, who do you want to be the third Slytherin, the third member of the gang? And he said, we clicked with you, and we liked you more than all the other kids. He said, so we picked you, and that's it. Anybody else got anything?
I have a couple.
Yeah, man, fire away.
I'll just be the moderator.
This is the weirdest.
Don't tell Chris.
Yeah, man, come in.
So what was your favorite moment filming any of the movies, pretty much?
I would say, for me, it was the polyjuice potion sequence, because
that's like your big moment too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much it, because I'd spent the first movie where I just felt like a glorified extra, you know, and I was like, I want to do some acting. Like, I remember feeling that, a little bit jealous, like of the other kids with better parts and stuff, and I just wanted to do some acting. So then with the polyjuice potion bit, it was like my moment, you know. I've got a close up. I'm having a bloody close up. It's only me on set, and I've got Chris Columbus, this legend. He's directing me and only me. So for me, that was a really special moment, and I was like, now I feel like an actor. Now, yeah. That's probably my fondest memory. But there were other moments, you know. I remember the premiere for Sorcerer's Stone in Leicester Square. I remember being so excited for that, just being completely blown away and surprised by the amount of people there. And they picked us up in the cars with my mum, my dad, my best friend. And the car they can't get even close to Leicester Square, really. It's just thousands of people. So we'd have to get out, walk through the crowds, and then by the time you're on the red carpet, there was like people behind the barrier screaming my name, and I said to my mum, I was like, how do they know my name? She was like, you're in the film. And I found it confusing because the film hadn't been released yet, you know, because obviously the premiere is like the day or 2 days before the release. So I knew that they hadn't seen it. So I was like, how do they know my name then? But yeah, that was a cool moment. It was a very surreal moment. Yeah, I see that those two stick out. But then there was, you know, I remember the first time I laid eyes on the Great Hall. That was just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing just looking at these things. The first time I saw the Chamber of Secrets, that was like, what the hell? Because it's just the craftsmanship these guys have, like how they make things look old and how they make it. You would never, on the set, you would never think that it was fake.
Right. You know, those movies are a lot of people's childhoods, but that's literally your childhood because you were there.
yeah. It was. And you saw, going back to the Chamber of Secrets. I remember the big face. Is it Salazar Silverman?
I think so. Yeah.
I remember going up to it and it's stone, meant to be made of stone. And the closer I got, and I got to about this far away, I was like, that's polystyrene, that's styrofoam. And it literally is styrofoam. They sand it down and they craft it and they shape it and then they paint it with all the moss on stuff. And that was the first time I'd seen anything like that. And I was this huge polystyrene face, which looks like it's made out of stone. That fascinated me. So yeah, those memories, the sets were just incredible.
Yeah, they put a lot of money into those movies, let me tell you.
Hell yeah.
Any other questions?
Good return for them though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What was your favorite movie out of all the Harry Potter movies?
To watch as like a movie fan or to perform in, or both.
Personal favorite.
My personal favourite to watch is The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh yeah.
It was my favourite book as well. My favourite movie, and I liked Alfonso Cuarón's style and what he brought to the franchise. It gave it a little bit more of like, you know, he's an art house. He made art house films, you know, Alfonso Cuarón, My Two Moments, Tambion, and
Gravity. Well, after that, but he blew up after that.
But you know, you can see it in his style of his choice of shots, and because the third book is darker, and I think Cuarón really, it was a right choice. It was a good choice for him to direct.
Widely considered the best out of all the movies.
Yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you read those? Oh, what were you gonna say?
No, after you.
I was gonna ask, did you read the books before you were even like auditioning, or is that something that happened after like you got cast?
Right. So when I was maybe about a year before. I don't know when the books came out. I think it was about a year before I got the audition for Dudley. My best friend, he said to me, he was an avid reader, and he said to me, bro, you got to read these books. I said, what are they called? He said, Harry Potter. I said, what's it about? He said, like magic and witches and wizards and spells. I was like, that doesn't really sound cool to me, man. Like, and he didn't sell it very well at all. and I didn't bother reading them, you know. But then I think about a year later, I get a call from my mum gets the call from the agent. You got an audition for Harry Potter, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember my friend talking about it, so I told him at school or something. I told him I got an audition for Dudley. He was like, oh my god, he was like, couldn't believe it. So I still didn't read the books. I did the first audition, hadn't read the books, but in between, the gap between them telling me you got a recall, come back for the second audition, between them telling me that and me actually doing the recall, I think it was only about a week, maybe just over a week, but that gap, and at that point I thought maybe I should read the books now. You know, now I'm going in for the second audition, I should familiarise myself with the story. And I only intended really to read the first book, but I went out the next day and bought 2 and 3. And I was just like, everybody knows they just paid the absolute easy read page turners, you know. But I was gripped. I absolutely loved them. But as soon as the fourth one came out, and I actually find it quite hard to read, so it's rare for me to find a book which is a page turner for me. It's like I haven't got the concentration or patience for it.
Right.
So when the fourth one came out, it was like that. I was like, I think I'm gonna leave that one.
Interesting. So how'd your best friend react, like when you got into those movies?
Yeah, he was just. I think there's probably an element of jealousy because he was a little bit of a budding actor. He was in all the school plays with me and stuff, and he wasn't bad as well. He was a pretty good actor. But yeah, he was happy for me as well. You know, we'd been best friends since we was like 5 or 6. So
You took him to the premiere, though. I think
I think he came
cool.
to the first and the second. He came to a few of them because there were always things like that, like the launch of the second DVD or the first. They would do big DVD launches, which were pretty much like the after, like premiere after parties, just like, you know. Lots of
For those of you who don't know,
delicious food.
DVDs it's like streaming but physical. Oh, in a museum. Okay. Oh gosh, DVDs, and those are the recent ones. Jesus.
I actually saw a funny video, sort of, kind of about sort of like the difference between 80s and 90s, the difference between the kids then and now. And he's talking to his son, and he says, you know, as a 90s kid, 80s kid, my memory's better than yours. I just know that it's better than yours. He said, because if you guys, your favourite show, you can watch it any time you want. You can stream it, you know, morning, noon, night, you can watch it. But when I was a kid, if you liked a show, you had to know what time it was and what channel it was. So at 6:30, you go to this channel and watch that show that you like. When that finishes, then you got to go back to this channel at this time in the morning, your favourite cartoon. You'd remember what time it was and what channel. The kids now don't have that. They just go on the tablet, go on the phone, and they can watch it whenever they want. It's accessibility, isn't it? It's crazy.
Right. It is so crazy. It's really nuts. We could just keep complaining about the day, or we can. Any more questions?
You mentioned your. Oh, sorry. You mentioned your friend and that you actually got the part. You know, after the first movie was released, were you able to just like go back to your normal daily life?
Yeah.
Or did like things go wild?
Well, it was a bit. I had the best of both worlds, really. So things were wild, you know, and you know the money that you have as such a young child is wild. You get yourself in some But for me, because Goyle wasn't one of the the top main characters, my shooting schedule was kind of sporadic. So okay, we need you for 2 weeks for this scene. Then I might be off for a month. And then it'll be right. You're back for 3 weeks. Then I'll be off for a couple of days. Back for a few days. It was very. Whereas like Dan, Rupert, and Emma, they were pretty much their lives were at the studios. They as far as I'm aware, they didn't have much of a life outside of Harry Potter. You know, and I actually think they've touched on it that they don't resent that. I don't think they resent it, but they feel like they've lost. And that's the problem you have introducing kids into this industry, because they're exposed to things which, and not necessarily out of not sinister. Maybe obviously it can and does get sinister, but not with them. I don't think it was sinister, but it's still that amount of exposure, even for an adult, is unnatural and strange.
Yeah.
So for a child, even it can I think in a way it can be quite damaging. But you know, they're multi-millionaires, and I'm sure they've got.
They seem
Great
well. They
lives
seem
now.
well adjusted.
But basically, I think if I'd be interested to ask them the question. Okay, would you go back and change anything? Would you have preferred not to get the part? And you know, I'd be interested to see their answers. Obviously, I haven't seen the Dan Rupert Remmer since the premiere after party of Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Oh, jeez.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've seen those set photos. Everyone's crying.
Yeah, but
You had a question?
Sorry if I missed it. What brings you to the US? Also,
This? Literally just this. Yeah. I love the States. It's any state is. I just love it. I came here we did the typical Florida family holiday when I was 10, and I've been in love with America ever since. And I think, I don't know, it's different for a European because you guys live here, so
Right.
it's different for a European because we grew up watching the American shows and the American movies. So when we come here, I feel like I'm in a movie. Like it's like, oh my god, like it feels really special, and that never goes. Every time I come back here,
Right.
it's weird. I almost feel like I'm at home. But when I get out of the airport and I step foot on American soil, I'm like, I feel this is where I should be. It's quite a strange feeling.
I get that though, because I've been to Europe, and you know, I've watched a lot of movies set in Europe, and
Yeah.
not even just Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
And going there, it's just like, it is like kind of being in a fantasy. I wouldn't say fantasy world, but it's like a different world.
And you're
Yes.
totally on the right track. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then you talk to people that live there, and they're like, "Oh, it's not that great here. Like, calm down,"
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
exactly,
But you know,
yeah.
they have that. You know, it's just the perspective of living there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Perspective, man. And a few years back, I did LeakyCon in Florida, and then the following weekend, I had a show in Oklahoma. So I did the LeakyCon in Florida, and Florida's very commercial, and I'm not. I try and swerve the tourist traps and stuff like that.
Right.
So when I went, so I left Florida, I was like, yeah,
It's Florida.
cheesy, yeah.
We don't like it here either.
So when I got to Oklahoma, I was like, yeah, this feels like real, like real America.
True. Yeah.
But everyone I spoke to in Oklahoma, and even the people I was speaking to in Florida, I was like, oh yeah, I've got a show in Oklahoma. It's like, why would you want to go there? Like, there's nothing there. Like, and people in Oklahoma, what the hell are you doing here? Like, I was like, no, take me to go see a trailer park. I want to see a trailer park. Like, that's the things I'm more interested in going to a trailer park than going to like some sort of tourist trap. That's because I want to
totally
see
get that.
authenticity. You know, I much prefer like small town America.
Right, you know, not to make this about me, I visited my friend in Oslo, Norway. I don't know if you've ever been to Norway. Yeah, Oslo's a big place, but you know, staying at his house, you're getting that kind of, you know, the day in the life experience.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Oklahoma is very much like nobody thinks to go there, right?
Fly on the wall almost that you're just observing and just dipping into somebody else's life is fascinating.
It is. It really is.
Have
Any
you
other?
been to the Harry Potter land and the Universal Studios?
So when I was booked for the Florida for the LeakyCon show, I'd heard about other people who had done the LeakyCon show in Florida before, and they had all paid for them to go to Universal, spend the whole day there and stuff. So I was expecting that. But when we got there, I was like, when are we going to go to Hogwarts? And they was like, oh no, we're not doing it this year. I was like, oh, gutted. And I didn't have the time to go on my own. But we did go because at Universal there, you can go into Universal, but just to eat, you know. So we went and got some surf and turf without actually getting without paying for tickets to get proper access to it. And where we was eating on the balcony, I could see the Hogwarts in the distance. So that even just that was nice. It was nice to. It's
I'd
cute.
imagine
It's
if you
cute.
went there, like you'd have to be in disguise maybe or something.
Well, I don't get recognised that often. Very. I used to get recognised maybe a few times a week when I was filming the movies and stuff, but not so much anymore. And if I do get noticed, I know instantly. It's more like if I'm in an airport, or in the supermarket or something. Someone's looking at me, and I can see them like look at me and then look away, and it's like they recognise me from somewhere, but they can't place it. It's like I recognise him. I know that face. How do I know that face? But they can't figure it out.
Are you always wearing a hat too?
It's rare that you'll see me without a hat.
I think that helps.
Yeah, it's like I'm wearing a hat like 85, 90% of the time. Yeah, no, I've got an unfortunate hairline. I've got like quite a receding hairline.
Oh, it looks fine.
Runs in the mum side of my family. My granddad's hairline started here. So yeah, and I just love hats. I feel safe in a hat. I feel more comfortable in a hat. I don't know why. Or a hood. Also, I just like.
Totally. You were in Robin Hood, weren't you? The one with Taron Egerton.
What? Well, that's another story. I auditioned for Guy of Gisborne, which was and this is the story of my life. I go out for bigger parts, and then they like you, they like your acting, but you're not right for that part. So then they always give you a much smaller part, and that's what happened with that. I went up for Guy of Gisborne. They said we really liked you, but we're going to give you a smaller part, and it was a really decent. He was in the first 3 or 4 scenes, and it was a really decent action sequence, and his name was Righteous, and he was religious, and a bit like the sniper in
what was it?
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
You know, very religious and like that's how it was written. But there were so many script changes. It was a disaster, that movie. Like everything about it, like the costume, it's weird. The whole film was weird, but it didn't. The original script didn't read like that. It changed so much. Anyway, I get to the day of filming, and then the director, my 5 or 6 lines have been cut down to about 2 or 3, and then the director's like, right, we're going to film these 3 scenes all one shot. So instantly, I know that I'm gonna be less featured. All of my scenes where like in the script it makes out like I'm really featured. Now they're doing it all in one shot because the director's ego.
He's no Alfonso Cuarón, that's for sure.
I actually worked with the director on a BBC kids show that I did like 3 series of. He started on that. His name's Otto.
Wow.
He's a good guy.
That's good.
But yeah, so then as soon as he said one shot, I'm like, oh, great. So now I'm not going to be his feature. That means no close up, no nothing, because he has this little sequence and then gets shot with an arrow. So yeah, that happened. And then it turns out you don't even see me in the movie, because just after they'd coming towards the end of the edit, and it's unusual and extremely nice of a director to do this. He actually called me up. He called me personally on my mobile. He said, "Oh, it's Otto." I was like, "Oh, yeah, you know Otto." He's like, "Listen, I thought I'd just give you a heads up. We had to basically cut your. I mean, you see like a glimpse. I think you see like a very glimpse of me. If you look with a magnifying glass, you might spot it." He said we had to cut that cut that whole sequence down for time. He said, but it's rare that a director would inform you of that before, and I think it's probably because of our history.
Right.
So yeah. I get that a lot at Comic Con. So Harry Potter. So yeah, Robin Hood. I'm like, I'm not really in it.
Well.
But no.
At least you got paid, right?
I got paid, and I was in Budapest for like 3 or 4 weeks. That all paid for. Really lovely hotel. So yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
I understand totally. Any other questions before we talk about his MMA career?
What is your favourite beast from Harry Potter? And are there any like CGI?
Beasts?
Really, yeah, like animals. And like the transformation scene in Azkaban into a werewolf.
Yeah.
I forget the names, like dragons and like the flying hoppers. You know that.
Hippogriff?
So you're English, yeah?
Huh?
You're English.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Dorset.
Dorset. Ah, cool. Do you live here? Obviously. How long have you lived here for?
A year now.
Oh, wicked.
I do get surprised when I hear an English accent here sometimes, but I know a few people who are like English, so. But yeah, it seems to be kind of a popular place.
Yeah, I'd love to live here, man. I really would. Beast, I would say my favourite beast would have to be Fluffy the three-headed dog or something like that. I thought that the Fluffy was really cool. The Hippogriff was cool too. Oh yeah, what did Tom call it? He called it a chicken, didn't he?
Yeah, the Hippogriff.
Bloody chicken. Yeah, yeah. That was the question. Yeah, just what my favourite beast.
Yeah, and any like CGI that like you were like wowed by as well.
No CGI because for the Hippogriff, for example, they did have a Hippogriff, but it didn't move really. But yeah, so when Dan's on the Hippogriff and it takes off, so we're just looking at. I think it was either when they wanted you to look at something that wasn't there. It was either like a tennis ball on the end of a stick that was connected to like a stand. But if you had to follow something like in a motion and they needed everybody to be looking in the same spot, it would be numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then you got the assistant director going 1, 2, 3, 4, wow, and you're just looking at numbers, and that's how it was. So yeah, like the magic is a little bit lost for anybody who was really a part in the making. You lose a bit of the magic because I know that was just a stick with an X on it. You know,
I get
and
that. Totally.
you know when if you're following something like the CGI guys, which it boggled my mind, the technology. They have a stick with like a ball on the end, and it's a mirrored ball. Sometimes half of the ball is mirrored, and then the other half of the ball is like a dull grey, and they're like this, like that, and they're turning it and doing this stuff for the CGI, and whoa, and you're just looking at a mirror basically. It's quite fascinating.
It is fascinating. Wow. All right. Anything else? All right. So, what got you into fighting people in a cage?
Well, it was just a hobby, really. It was just like a box that I wanted to tick. I came from a fighting family. My dad was a boxer. He was a champion amateur boxer, and then
And an actor? Wow.
well, yeah. My dad's tried everything. He really, he's multi-talented. Yeah. So yeah, I grew up, watching looking at pictures and local newspaper cuttings of my dad as a boxer. Like he was selected for the Olympic squad in '87, I think. He didn't end up fighting, but so yeah, I grew up looking at this stuff. And, oh wow, my dad, and thinking that's something I will want to try it at some point in my life. Experience what my dad did. Show my dad that I could do what he, that sort of stuff. And yeah, two of my older brothers both boxed at quite a high amateur level. I'd be filming their fights, and my dad had this old VHS camcorder which you put on your shoulder, and I'd be there like 9 or 10 years old, like shaky camcorder. And yeah, so that was my dad taught us how to fight very young, how to defend ourselves, and not be a bully, but know how to throw down if you have to. So yeah, that was it really. So then Harry Potter happened, and money, and then becoming a young adult, partying, and then finding a bit of a wild lifestyle, and then I knew I had to change. I knew something had to change. So then I needed to channel this energy that was in me, and so then I just went to a local jiu-jitsu club, and got hooked on that instantly. Pretty much, and I did that for about 6 years, and then I set myself a goal. When I get my black belt in traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, when I get my black belt, I'm gonna because around about that time I was really getting into UFC, watching the cage fighting and stuff, and then I'm thinking I'm gonna have a cage fight, because my dad only boxed, but cage fighting is like a little bit more extreme. I thought that's a cool thing to do. So yeah, so I set my goal. When I get my black belt, I'll have a fight, and that was I'm going to call it a day, just to say that I've done it. So then I got my black belt, and I think about 8 months later, I had my first fight, and I only fought amateur. So there's the rules are different, So they fight with 4-ounce mix in professional. In amateur, it's 7-ounce mix. They're just a bit thicker. The rounds are like 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes. It's 3 3-minute rounds instead of 3 5-minute rounds, and there was a couple other different rules damage, but you can still get like knocked out. You can still get roundhouse to the face. You can still get choked out. You know, you can still get tapped out. Everything else really applies. And yeah, so then that's how it all happened, you know. And then after my first one, a couple of years went by, and I was like, I can't just have one. I can't just have one. Like, and I wanted to. It was really silly, and like probably my ego as well. I didn't want to refer to it as my fight. I wanted to refer to it as a plural, like my fights. I don't know, 'cause I just think that sounds cooler.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, my fight, like just one fight. And that was really kind of the reason I had the second one. But I won them both on points, luckily. And yeah, that's it. And it was just a good experience. I learned a lot about myself through this process of preparing mentally and physically to go into a controlled space and really try and kill someone. Really, because you are really. So you're trying to survive, and you're trying to. You know, you're trying to kick someone in as hard as you can in the head. Like if they die, there's a possibility they could die. Like, right. So you are kind of, in a way, you are trying to kill them. But when the bell goes, then it's all hugs and kisses.
Right. I was gonna ask, do you ever like legit get angry at your opponent, or do you just, or is it still just all professional?
No, it's weird. The bond you have with someone once you've been through that, it's really quite strange. Not that I've stayed in contact with the two guys I fought. But you know, to hug someone moments after you're on top of them, trying to smash their head into the canvas, it's a very strange contrast. But it's like it's just an odd bond.
Right, totally. Yeah. All right. Any other questions come up?
Was that hard going to school with your career life?
That was probably the thing I struggled with the most was the tutoring and the schoolwork and the expectations they had. They had a whole education department in the studios. They had like a head teacher and everything. Like, on a busy day, where a great hall scene where there's lots of kids in, they could have up to like 10, 15 tutors in separate classrooms. And you know, you'd have to do a minimum of 3 hours a day, and if you weren't being used that much, say you only get used for a couple shots in the morning, which was often the case. If they're doing a great hall scene, they film everything. Okay, now we have to go to the Slytherins. You have to film our reactions to everything. So yeah, and then they'd want you to bank hours sometimes. So sometimes you'd be in this tutor room. It wasn't dissimilar from this, just without colour. It was just all white, very clinical, not very like inspiring or nice place to be. Yeah, you have to bank hours. You'd be doing maybe sometimes 5-6 hours a day of tutoring. Now I wasn't dumb in school, but I just didn't get on with the teachers. I didn't like authority. I didn't. Yeah.
Did you ever pull that? Do you know who I am card?
No.
Okay, at least you didn't go that far.
I would have got slaughtered at school if, like, by my pals and stuff. If I'd have said something like that. Yeah, so I was often getting into trouble at my own school, and then getting into trouble at the studios tutoring. None of the teachers or the tutors inspired me, and just didn't click with any of them. And it was strange because it was that CBBC kids show that I did.
Yeah.
It was on that, and I think it was in between Harry Potter 2 and 3. I did the last series of that show when Julius came on. Julius was a tutor. He was an out of work actor, and his tutoring was his side hustle. Now me and Julius just clicked, and and as soon as I got with Julius, my schoolwork and everything started going up. It was just you find that with some teachers in school, you know, you just have it's like, you know, chemistry. You just have a thing, and he knew a way of getting the best out of me, you know. And as it happens, my mum was aware of this, and she went to the producers of Harry Potter and said, he's just done a TV series, can we get that tutor please, because Josh is struggling with your tutor, can we get, and then they did, they agreed to do that. So then they brought Julius on from a different TV show that I'd done, and he was my tutor until I finished school. He would even come to my house and tutor me. So
that's really cool. That's
But
really
yeah,
nice.
the schoolwork, I hated it. I hated it. I think my first couple of days ever filming on Sorcerer's Stone, and they'd flown us all to Newcastle, and so it was like 6 a.m. pickup, costume, hair, makeup. I'm like, let's get on set, do some acting. And it was like tutoring for like the first 2 or 3 days. I'd come out of tutoring and I'd say to my mum, what's going on? This is like, school. I have to just go to school, just in this white room. It's so depressing. And that was it for the first few days.
That's hilarious.
But like, I didn't want to be ungrateful. I didn't want to. I was very well aware of how lucky I was, and
It's kind of like you were going to school, but you're also getting paid at least for this job.
Yeah, I think it was more. I felt disappointed because I thought. I think it was just I didn't understand how movies work. I guess because I'd only done a bunch of TV commercials before, which are usually done in a day or two.
You also got to think this is like the first time they used this many kids for like a movie series.
Yeah.
And I don't envy the people working on the show right now.
Yeah.
And having to work with all those kids.
And the animals as well. That's like the golden rule with filmmaking. No animals, no kids. Don't work with them because it's a nightmare. And they had both. I actually have a very unpleasant experience with a particular millipede. In McGonagall's Transfiguration class. I don't know if it's the first or second movie, but everyone's got like a little animal.
I think it's
like
the second one, yeah.
A little bird or a little insect, like things which we got to try and transform. And got real phobia of insects, like, especially being on me or something getting a spider crawling down the back of my neck, like a lot of people. Not good with insects at all. So I think Tom had like a lizard or something. I think a gecko. And then they come down without any warning and just plonk this millipede right in front of me, and I'm like, and they wanted me to they said, okay, well, we had an idea that we want you to be like crawling around your hand and you're sort of like looking at it. There's no way in a million years I'm putting that thing on me. It's not going to happen. That's not,
That's amazing.
They said, well, like, and the thing is they had about 3 different millipedes, right? One was quite sleepy and was quite slow, maybe he was old and fat, I don't know. But the second one was young and full of beans, and he was like whizzing around like this. But there was no sides to the desk, so the thing was just falling off. And I was like, it's on the floor. I'm not touching it. I'm not going to stop it. I'm not putting my hands on it. So I don't know if you can see it, but I'm at one point in that shot, in that scene, I'm kind of trying to control it with my wand. I've got my wand in my hand, and if you look, I'm constantly looking down to keep an eye where this bloody millipede is. Is it like? If you look closely, you can see me kind of looking down like this horrible thing. It's about that long, mate. It was thick.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's amazing. Wow. Are we good on time? Okay. One final question? Yeah, go ahead.
Have you gotten anything from the Harry Potter set? Like, have you stole anything or just got anything?
Same. No comment. No comment. No. There's maybe a few little. The only things which and I say we, because it wasn't only me. The only things we ended up with were things that we knew they had doubles of. You know, they wouldn't, and they had doubles of everything. You know,
Yeah.
so the Slytherin rings that came in the third movie, Alfonso Cuarón wanted. I think that was his idea. He wanted I think it was his idea, or it was Jason Isaac's idea. I can't remember. They wanted the Slytherins to have these Slytherin rings and the tie pins just to show the Malfoy's wealth. So they had loads. We were always losing them. So they always had lots of doubles and spares.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm like, you can't get in trouble. It's been, 20 years?
I know, you never know.
You never know, right? All right. Well,
cool. Thank you
all for joining. I was just a surprise moderator for the day.
Hey, no, you did a good job, man.
Thank you so much.
I thought he was going to sit with me, and he was like, see you later.